The fluorescent lights of the bus station hummed, casting a sickly yellow glow on the grimy floor. Rain lashed against the glass walls, diffusing the city lights into a hazy, indistinct blur. Richard, a man caressed only by his grey overcoat, dark trousers, and sombre mood, sat alone on a cold metal bench. Midnight was fast approaching, and the station, usually a hive of activity, was now a desolate dystopia of discarded newspapers and occasional echoing announcements. He was utterly alone. Or so he thought. He stared straight ahead, focusing on a crack in the opposite wall. He'd missed the last bus home. Again. This was becoming a habit, a grim ritual in his increasingly solitary life. He'd lost track of how long he'd been coming to this station, a place that only served to focus his loneliness and make it more tangible. He shivered, but not entirely from the penetrating cold. And then he felt a prickling awareness at the edge of his perception. In his peripheral vision, a young woman stood near the ticket booths, partially obscured by a pillar. She was dressed in a bright red coat, a stark contrast to the monochrome world Richard inhabited. He tried to ignore her, to convince himself it was just his dismal imagination playing tricks to add colour to his downtrodden life. But the feeling persisted. She was watching him. He dared a quick glance. She was indeed looking his way, her face partially hidden by the shadows. Her posture was stiff, almost wary. Was she waiting for someone, or was she truly observing him, a middle-aged man lost in the dark abyss of his own despair? Richard shifted uncomfortably. He hadn't spoken to anyone in days, not since the cashier at the grocery store mumbled a perfunctory "next." The thought of someone, anyone, paying attention to him was unsettling. He considered getting up, moving to another bench, but the effort felt monumental. The weight of his bleakness held him captive. He was a statue carved from sadness, destined to remain in this purgatory of a bus station. The young woman moved. She pushed herself off the pillar and began walking towards him, her red coat a beacon in the gloom. Richard's heart pounded. What did she want? Was he in some kind of trouble? She stopped a few feet away, her expression unreadable in the dim light. "Excuse me," she said, her voice soft but clear. "Are you Richard?" He swallowed hard, his throat suddenly dry. "Yes," he managed to croak. She smiled, a small, hesitant expression that didn't quite reach her eyes. "My grandmother asked me to find you. She said you left this at her house last week." She held out a familiar black umbrella. Richard stared at the brolly, then at the wholesome young lady. A flicker of warmth, a tiny spark of connection, ignited within the cold emptiness of his heart. He wasn't entirely invisible, not entirely alone. Someone remembered him. Someone cared.